quick video of the antenna mod I did on my 2017 Ford Raptor, and you can do this on any antenna really. So I had the issue of the antenna when I was pulling into the garage, it would drag and hit on the actual top of the garage. You know, it would hit and then just drag the rest of the way in. So what I did was, as I was pulling in one time, I stopped really close and I came and I marked with a piece of masking tape where the antenna, about an inch under where it wouldn't hit the garage as I came in. So after I found that mark, I went ahead and chopped off the antenna, and we'll just say this is just a piece of metal hanging wire just representing the antenna. So you'll take it off, and when you do take it off on the bottom where you unscrew it, I recommend either putting masking tape on it or using something that will not scratch up the antenna as you try to unscrew it from the vehicle. After you chop it off where you marked it with the masking tape, you're going to have this, and what comes off of it is this guy. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it or not, but this is the little ball that goes on top of the antenna. I can't remember what it's called. You can Google it and look it up. However, I do know it's for static discharge. Having a rounded top is to help with static discharge. So what I did was I cut this little piece off to see if I could epoxy it back on to the piece where I cut it, and I couldn't. So what I did was I went and got this JB Weld Quick Steel. It actually has metal in it. Made a little bit of the epoxy, just kneaded it up and everything, and ended up with a few little rounded balls of this metal epoxy on that I was going to use for the end of the antenna. And what I did while it was still a little pliable was I took my antenna and I lightly pressed it into the epoxy so it would make a little indentation into the actual putty right here before it set. So after I made the indentation, I let the putty set, and it's hard, and this stuff is solid as a rock right now, and it's not going to do anything. So after that it's set, you can take an epoxy, which you can see in the picture here, or take any epoxy for that matter, as long as it's paintable and sets fairly quickly, that's fine, and just epoxy it a little bit, put a little bit of epoxy in that little indentation you made, and just put it right onto the end of your antenna. Hold it there until it sets, or it's going to stay in place. And then after that happens, this one's just staying in place because the hole is deep enough on the little putty ball I made. After it sets, you can go ahead and just spray paint the tip and just put it back on the vehicle. That's pretty much what I did, so it allowed me to go into my garage without hitting anything. However, it's still taller than the vehicle. There's probably, I don't know, maybe 6 inches more above the vehicle. So if I were to ever hit the antenna driving into anything, I would know I'm risking hitting the roof of my vehicle as I pull in. So just something to consider. The one thing I did do differently on mine, this is another option you can do, is you get these little vacuum hose caps, if you will. They're little rubber caps. And all I did was, with some of the putty I had left over, I rolled it into a really thin piece, and I just shoved it into the this cap, and then I took the cap and I put it right on top of the antenna. So it gives it this little rubbery type look on top. It works. However, this plastic cap's gonna wear out sitting out in the sun and stuff like that. And I've noticed a little fraying in mine, but it's sitting there just fine. If I ever run into the time where it just looks horrible up there, I'll probably just hack it off again and just put one of these putty balls back up on there with the metal in it and just epoxy it back on and then spray paint it to match. The thing I used to cut it with, I tried pliers, you name it. The only thing that really worked and gave me a nice cut was a Dremel with a cutting bit on it. So if you have something similar, that would work really well, or just if you can have somebody hold the antenna for you while they use a saw. So yeah, that was how I did my antenna swap on my vehicle. It was the first mod I did. I couldn't stand the antenna dragging on my garage door every time I pulled in and out. So within a day I had that done, and I didn't lose any signal or reception from the antenna, and it still looks OEM for the most part, unless you're really looking at it. And it acts as a warning still if I get close to something that I might possibly hit with the roof of my vehicle. That's all I got. If you have any questions, let me know.